The morning sky of Loomis Prime glowed with soft purple light as three suns rose above the crystal forests. Ambassador Nera stood at the great window of the council chamber, her four delicate arms clasped together in worry. Her flower-like face showed deep concern as she watched the peaceful city below. "The reports are getting worse," said Counselor Tam, his voice barely a whisper. He was old, even for their long-lived species, and his petals had turned silver with age. "3 more. Colonies have fallen to the Vorthons this week." Nera turned from the window. Her large, gentle eyes reflected the fear that all Kari felt these days. "How many does that make?" 17 worlds in 2 months, Tam replied, checking his datapad with shaking hands. "They take everything, resources, technology, sometimes even the people as slaves." The Kari had never known war. Their species had evolved on Loomis Prime over millions of years without conflict. They were plant-like beings who gained energy from their suns and nutrients from their crystal-rich soil. Violence was not just foreign to them. It was impossible. Their minds simply could not process the idea of deliberately hurting another intelligent being. "What do our allies say?" Nera asked, though she already knew the answer. Tam's petals drooped. "The Thion Republic sent 2 old fighter ships. The Silicon Collective offered some defense drones. The others—" He paused. "The others are too scared of Vorthon revenge." Nera walked to the center of the chamber, where a holographic display showed their galaxy. Red markers indicated Vorthan-controlled systems spreading like a disease across the outer rim. The pattern was clear. They were moving toward the core worlds, toward Loomis Prime itself. "How long do we have?" she asked. "Their main fleet was spotted in the Zarian system yesterday," Tam said quietly. "At their current speed. They will reach us in 7 days. 7 days. Nera felt her limbs grow weak. The Vorthons were a nightmare species, tall, armored beings who lived for conquest. They had evolved on a harsh world of constant warfare, and they brought that violence with them wherever they went. Their ships were massive, their weapons terrible, and they showed no mercy to those who opposed them. "We must send the distress call," Nera said finally. The council chamber fell silent. A distress call was the last resort, a plea sent across the galaxy begging for help from any species willing to fight. It was an admission. They could not defend themselves. "To whom?" asked Counselor Vera, her young voice filled with desperation. "Who in the galaxy has ships strong enough to face the Vorthons? Who would risk their own worlds for us?" Nera had no answer. She moved to the communication console at the center of the room. The device was made of living crystal that responded to her thoughts. With trembling hands, she activated the galactic transmission array. "This is Ambassador Nera of the Kari Council, speaking for all inhabitants of Loomis Prime," she began, her voice carrying across space to every civilized world in the galaxy. "We send this plea to any species capable of military assistance. The Vorthon Empire approaches our world with intent to conquer and destroy. We are a peaceful people, with no weapons, no soldiers, no way to defend ourselves." She paused, gathering strength for the next words. Around her, the council members watched in silence. Outside, the crystal city of their ancestors gleamed in. The triple sunlight, beautiful and defenseless. "We have 7 days before their fleet arrives. If there is anyone in the galaxy who stands against the destruction of innocent worlds, please, hear our call. We offer whatever we have in return for protection. Please. We do not want to die." The transmission ended. The chamber remained quiet, except for the soft humming of the crystal walls. Nera slumped into her chair, exhausted by the effort of asking strangers to die for their world. The responses began within hours. Most were rejections. polite but firm refusals from species who feared Vorthon retaliation. A few offered small assistance, outdated ships, defensive systems, token forces that would make little difference against the approaching armada. By the fourth day, hope was fading. The Theon fighters had arrived, two ancient vessels that would be destroyed in minutes against Vorthon dreadnoughts. The Silicon drones were better, but there were only 50 of them, against a fleet of 300 Vorthon warships. Their efforts would be meaningless. "Perhaps we should consider surrender," suggested Counselor Kell during the evening session. His words brought gasps from the younger council members, but several elders nodded sadly. "What would surrender mean?" asked Vera. Tam consulted his files. Based on previous conquests, they would strip mine our crystal forest for rare minerals. Our people would be relocated to work camps or sold as slaves to other systems. Our culture, our cities, our entire way of life would be erased within a year. The room fell silent again. Death seemed preferable to such a fate, but the Kari could not even choose to fight and die with honor. They were simply not capable of violence. The fifth day on the fifth day, as the first Vorthon scout ships appeared at the edge of their system, an unexpected transmission arrived. It came from a sector of space that galactic charts marked as uninhabitable, death worlds. Places where the planets were so hostile that intelligent life was considered impossible. The message was short and transmitted on old-style radio frequencies that most advanced species had abandoned centuries ago. The voice was strange, not the musical tones of the Kari or the harmonic resonances of other civilized species, but something rough and primitive. "This is Admiral Kane of the Terran Defense Force. We received your distress call. Earth is sending a fleet. Hold your position and maintain hope. Help is coming." Nara stared at the communication console in confusion. "Terran? Earth? What species is this?" Tam was already searching the galactic databases. After several minutes, he looked up with a puzzled expression. "I can find no record of any species called Terran or any world called Earth. The transmission came from the Orion sector. That entire region is classified as uninhabitable death worlds." "Death worlds?" Vera asked. "Planets with extreme gravity, toxic atmospheres, temperature variations that would kill most life forms, dangerous weather patterns, hostile flora and fauna," Tam explained. "The Galactic Survey classified them as Class 12 hazard zones. Nothing intelligent could evolve in such places." Counselor Kell shook his head. "It must be an automated response from some ancient probe. Perhaps a long-dead civilization left it there centuries ago." But Nara felt something different as she listened to the transmission again. There had been something in that rough voice, determination, confidence, perhaps even anger at their situation. It did not sound like a machine. "What if it is real?" she asked quietly. "What if there really is a species out there that survived on death worlds?" The council exchanged uncertain glances. The idea seemed impossible, but their situation was desperate enough to grasp at any hope. "If such beings existed," Tam said slowly, "and if they somehow developed space travel despite living in such hostile conditions, what would they be like?" Nobody answered. Question was too frightening to consider. "We cannot harm other intelligent beings. Our minds are not constructed for violence." Captain Reed was quiet for a long moment. Behind him, other humans moved about the bridge, and Nara could see they all shared the same predator features. Forward-facing, eyes, exposed teeth, lean bodies built for movement and action. "I need to understand this clearly," the captain said finally. "You have never had wars? Never developed weapons? Never trained soldiers?" Nara confirmed. "We cannot even comprehend why intelligent beings would want to hurt each other. When we first heard about the Vorans, we thought it must be a mistake. How can a species survive if it destroys other species?" Another human stepped up beside Captain Reed. This one was smaller, with longer hair and softer features, but still clearly a predator. "Captain, I'm reading their biology now," they said. "They're plant-based life forms. They get energy from their suns and minerals from their soil. They literally have no need to compete for resources." "Thank you, Dr. Mills," Reed said, then turned back to the Kalari ambassador. "I need to explain something about humans. We come from what you would call a death world. On our planet, everything is trying to kill everything else. We evolved as hunters. We learned to fight, because if we didn't fight, we died." The concept was so alien that Nara felt dizzy trying to grasp it. "Your own planet tries to kill you?" she asked. "Storms that can level cities, temperatures that swing from freezing to burning, predators with claws and teeth, diseases, poisonous plants, earthquakes, floods. Our world taught us to be survivors." "How terrible," whispered Counselor Vera. "How do you maintain peace among your own people?" Captain Reed smiled. And for the first time, the expression didn't seem frightening to Nara. "We learned that the only way to survive on a death world is to work together. We protect each other. And when we see other species being threatened by bullies like the Vorthons, we protect them too." "You would risk your lives for beings you've never met?" Tam asked in amazement. "Where we come from, if you don't stand up for those who can't defend themselves, you're not worthy of calling yourself human." The communication was interrupted by a sharp beeping. Another human, this one in different clothing, approached Captain Reed quickly. "Captain, we have movement from the Voran fleet. They're changing course toward our position." Reed nodded. "Time to intercept?" 4 hours at current speed." The captain looked back at the Kari ambassador. "We need to move our ships into defensive positions. I'm going to have Lieutenant Torres take some small craft and scout the enemy fleet, but I want you to understand something. We're not here to conquer or control your world. We're here to help you stay free." "Why?" Nara asked. "What do you gain from helping us?" Captain Reed was quiet for a moment. Then he answered in a way that would become famous throughout the galaxy in the years to come. "Because it's the right thing to do, and because someone has to." The communication link shifted to show Lieutenant Torres, a younger human with quick eyes and confident movements. "Ambassador, I'm taking a recon team to study the Vorthon ships. We need to know their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses." "Can you provide any information on their previous attacks?" Counselor Tam quickly transmitted data files. "These are reports from the colonies they destroyed. But I must warn you, the Voran ships are enormous. Each one is larger than our biggest space stations." "Size isn't everything," Torres replied with a grin that showed those predator teeth. "We've learned a few things about fighting bigger opponents." As the humans prepared for battle, Nara studied them with fascination. They moved with purpose and coordination, like a group mind made of individual parts. They showed no fear of the approaching Vorthon fleet, despite being outnumbered 25-1. "Captain Reed," she called, "are you certain you can protect us? The Vorans have never been defeated." The human captain turned to face her, and in his eyes, she saw something the Kari had never encountered before. Quiet confidence born from surviving everything the universe had to offer. "Ambassador, the Vorthons have never faced humans before. They're about to learn why we're the only species that calls death worlds home." The communication link ended, leaving the Kari Council in stunned silence. Outside their crystal walls, the three suns continued their eternal dance across the sky. But something had changed in the galaxy that day. For the first time in their history, the gentle Kari had allies willing to fight. And those allies had teeth of charge, and the silence pressing in from all sides felt like a noose tightening around his mind. Then he saw them. 3 human figures emerging from the crystalline fog like ghosts of vengeance. Major Cross stood at the front, his weapon lowered but his gaze unwavering. "You wanted to meet the predators of a death world," Cross said quietly. "Now you have." Krex raised his weapon with a roar, firing wildly, but the humans were already moving. A stun round cracked into his shoulder, spinning him around. Another struck his leg. He fell to one knee. Cross stepped closer, his weapon aimed steadily at the Voran's exposed throat. Your fleet's broken. Your ground forces are gone. There's no one left to hurt the Kalari. You! You're monsters, Krex hissed. No, Cross replied. We're humans, and we don't tolerate slavers. Behind him, Sergeant Blake and Corporal Stone secured the area while Williams transmitted the all clear. Around them, the crystal forest slowly returned to silence, the faint chime of the trees swaying once more like a sigh of relief. On Loomis Prime, the Kari Council watched the footage with a mix of awe and disbelief. Ambassador Nera spoke first, her voice soft but resolute. These are not monsters. They are what we could never be, protectors born in fire. Captain Reed's final message to the Kari echoed through the chamber. You don't need to change who you are. Keep your peace, your beauty. Just know, from now on, you're not alone. Throughout the galaxy, word spread of the battle on Loomis Prime, of the humans, the predators from the death world who didn't come to conquer but to stand between the innocent and the violent. And in every quiet corner of space where someone faced oppression, a single hope began to flicker. Maybe the Death Worlders would come for them too. Craig was running out of time. Power drained from his suit, and the sounds of pursuit were getting closer. Then he saw them. Through the shimmering crystal trees, a group of Kalari civilians had emerged from their shelter. The plant-like beings were tending to wounded humans, their flower-like faces full of quiet compassion. Perfect, Craig muttered, raising his weapon. If I can't enslave them, I'll use them as hostages. He stormed into the clearing, towering above the gentle Kalari. Human soldiers, he roared. Show yourselves, or these civilians die! The Kalari looked up at him, confused, not afraid. They had never known hatred, never felt the threat of deliberate violence. Ambassador Nera was among them, cradling a wounded human soldier with tender care. Please, she said softly. This human is hurt. Let me help him. Craig stared at her in disbelief. You help your so-called protectors? These predators? They fight to protect us, she replied. How could we not help in return? He raised his weapon. His finger reached for the trigger, then froze. Something cold touched the back of his neck. I wouldn't, said Major Cross. The human had appeared like a ghost from the trees, weapon aimed at the weakest joint in Craig's armor. You're outnumbered, Craig growled. One human can't stop a Vorthan warrior. One human defending the innocent, Cross said, calm. That's enough. More humans emerged silently from the trees, surrounding Craig in a perfect circle. Their rifles were steady, their eyes unflinching. You know what a death world teaches? Cross said. It teaches you the most dangerous thing isn't size or strength. It's love. Protection. Craig looked around. The humans were smaller, weaker, but there was something in their gaze that made his blood run cold. These weren't just soldiers. They were pack hunters defending one of their own. Surrender, Cross said simply. Your fleet is scattered. Your troops are defeated. It's over. Craig dropped his weapon. As humans secured him, he watched the Kalari still tending the wounded, calm, gentle, caring. Why do they help you? He asked. You're predators. They should fear you. Cross glanced at Nera, who was healing a soldier's wounds. She looked up and smiled, a look of pure gratitude. Because they understand something bullies never do, Cross said. The difference between a predator and a protector isn't what you can do, it's what you choose to do. As the last Voran prisoners were captured and wounded treated, the crystal forest slowly returned to peace. But something had changed. The Kari had learned not all predators were evil. and humanity had found someone worth protecting. The galaxy would never be the same. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was silent. Delegates from 300 species watched the holographic footage, ships burning in orbit, Vorthon prisoners treated with surprising kindness, and the gentle Kalari healing human soldiers as if they were their own. Chancellor Ko of the Riel Consortium, his reptilian features tight with confusion, finally spoke. Ambassador Nera of the Kalari, please explain what happened in your system. Nera rose gracefully from her crystal chair, forearms folded in a sign of respect. The Kalari were not known for politics. Their presence here alone was a statement. Honored council members, she began, her voice melodic and clear. 7 days ago, our world faced annihilation. We sent out a distress call expecting nothing. What we received changed everything. The display shifted. Human ships arriving at Loomis Prime. Brutal angular designs. Tools of war, not beauty. They came from what your charts call death worlds, Nera said. Worlds so hostile, you assumed life could not arise. You were wrong. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Intelligent life from death worlds was long considered impossible. Chancellor Seath leaned forward. And these humans defeated the entire Vorthon fleet? Not destroyed, Nera corrected gently. Defeated. They could have annihilated them. Instead, they chose mercy. After their enemy surrendered, they let them go. Another ripple of shock. Dr. Kim of the Terran Scientific Collective stepped forward. Small, unassuming, but her presence quieted the room. I have prepared a report, she said. The display shifted again, to Earth. From space, Earth was beautiful, blue and green, but zoomed in, the truth emerged. Raging storms, erupting volcanoes, shifting glaciers. Earth is a Class 12 death world, Kim explained. Extreme weather, deadly wildlife, unstable geology. Most would not survive. How did you? Asked Zephyr of the Cloud Dancers, her gaseous form shimmering. We adapted. We became cooperative predators. We hunt in packs, use tools, and, most importantly, we protect each other. A human alone dies. Together, we endure. The images showed cities, families, play. Despite their teeth and firepower, humans were clearly caretakers. They protect their young, observed Elder Moss of the Forest Collective. They protect everyone they call family, Nera added. When they came to us, they adopted us. They fought for us like we were their own. Captain Reed of the Terran Defense Force stood. Plain uniform, unshakable presence. My people have a saying, he said. The strong must protect the weak, or strength has no meaning. That's why we came. Someone asked for help. But what do you want in return? Asked Administrator Quill of the Trade Federation. What do you gain? Reed frowned. Gain? We gain allies. We gain art and song and peace. What more do we need? The council stirred. Every known species expanded for territory or power. The humans expanded to protect. What about the Vorthon prisoners? Asked Marshall. Drex of the war worlds. Normally they'd be executed or enslaved. They're being treated humanely, Reed replied. We're negotiating prisoner exchanges, peace talks. Peace? Drex scoffed. The Vorans only respect strength. Then we'll show them strength, Reed said. But not just the power to destroy, the power to build. The hologram changed again, showing fleets withdrawing, aggressive empires reconsidering. Some asking for talks. A single battle changed everything, Chancellor Seath said in awe. Not the battle, Nera corrected. The aftermath. They showed the galaxy a better way. Dr. Kim activated another display. 43 new distress calls. Species are finally asking for help, she said. And you'll answer them all? Seath asked. We'll try, Reed said. Why? Zephyr asked. You could stay home. Be safe. Reed paused. Then he spoke words that would echo through history. Because peace isn't something you have. It's something you make. If good beings don't stand up to bullies, the bullies win. 3 months later, Ambassador Nera stood beside Captain Reed at the council chamber's great window. Outside, Kalari and human ships patrolled the skies together. Children of both species played in the crystal groves. "The crystal gardens are more beautiful than ever," Reed said. "Your people protect them," Nera replied. "Together, we're stronger." She watched as human children learned harmony, and Kalari Young learned that strength could be gentle. "Captain," Nera asked, "what happens when the galaxy is finally at peace?" Reed smiled, a warm expression the Kalari had come to love. "Then we'll find new ways to help," he said. "Explore, learn, create beauty." "And if another threat arises?" she asked. "Then someone will send a distress call," he said, "and we'll answer." As the sun set over Loomis Prime, their light reflected off crystal towers and human steel. Predator and prey had become partners. The age of conquest was ending. The age of protection had begun. And at the center of it all, one truth remained: the strong must protect the weak, or strength means nothing at all.